This video will show how to conduct a hypothesis test for the difference in two proportions in JUMP. So the first thing you need to do is make sure you have your data set open. I'm still working with the CAR data, and I have two categorical variables that I want to compare. I have my size 2cat variable that I created, where CARs are either categorized as small or large. And if you need to convert your categorical variable to just 2 levels, watch the other video that's posted about how to do that. My other categorical variable is about drive. Is it 2-wheel drive or is it all-wheel drive? So again, there are just 2 possible categories here. So I have 2 categorical variables, each with 2 possible categories, which is what we've seen in contingency tables before. In particular, I want to study if the proportion of small cars that have all-wheel drive is different than the proportion of large cars that have all-wheel drive. So the first thing that I need to do is make sure that I have the hypothesis testing calculator installed. There's a link to this web page on iLearn, and you are going to click on the add-in link to download the calculator. And then you are going to install the calculator. And JUMP will take just a moment to do that. And now it's done, and I can see in my add-ins menu here, I now have the Statistics Calculators 3 option. And when I open that tab, I can see that I have several different options for hypothesis testing and confidence intervals. Here, we're going to talk about doing a hypothesis test for 2 proportions. So that is the link that you will go to. When I click on that link, it asks if I want to use raw data or summary statistics. We're going to use raw data, which means we're just going to tell JUMP which columns we want it to analyze, instead of giving summary statistics, where we would already give JUMP a proportion or something like that that we've already calculated. So hit OK. And now I need to tell it which column contains my 2 groups. So the groups that I'm comparing are small cars and large cars. So that is my size 2cat variable. So I'm going to click on that variable and then click on the button for the names of the 2 groups. Now I need to choose the variable that has the result of all of the trials. That means, is the car all-wheel drive or 2-wheel drive? So that's my drive 2cat variable, and I'm going to put that into that blank. Now, one more thing I need to do before I hit OK. I have to tell JUMP what a success is. JUMP doesn't know from my drive variable if I'm trying to study 2-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and I want to study the proportion of all-wheel drive. And so here I'm going to type AWD because that is my categorical level that I'm studying for all-wheel drive. And you have to enter the name of your success there, or JUMP is not going to conduct the correct hypothesis test for you. And now I click OK. So in this window, I have to do a little bit more. First is choosing my alternative hypothesis. In this case, I have to know what is P2 and what is P1 about the 2 different groups that I have. And so here, when I'm comparing, my 2 groups were large and small from my size variable. And I know that large is sample 1 because alphabetically speaking, large comes before small. And so sample 1 is going to be determined alphabetically. So large is my sample 1 group and small is my sample 2 group. So that's how you can tell over here when it's doing the math of the subtraction, which order it's doing the subtraction. In my case, I don't know if I think the difference is greater than or less than the hypothesized difference, so I'm just going to choose not equal to. Now, I don't need to change anything about the variance option. And then my hypothesized difference, I think it's 0. You might have something else here, but I think, under the null value of 0, there's no difference between the 2 groups. And my significance level, I can leave alone. And then I can reveal the decision. So over here, what I need to pay attention to are the z-score. My z-score is -0.2, and then my p-value is 0.8327. So JUMP already gives me all those numbers that I need, and it even tells me that this means I failed to reject the null hypothesis. So in your presentation, you just want to include those key pieces of information. And I can also see another key piece of information is my sample proportions. Sample 1 proportion tells me that 24% of large cars are all-wheel drive and 22% of small cars are all-wheel drive, since I was studying all-wheel drive in the two different groups. And that's the conclusion to my hypothesis test for the difference in two proportions.